My name is Clara Towson, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
I am Francisca George, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Susan Leemans and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom. Yeah.
My name is Zainab Sammaz and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hey guys, my name is Sasha Vickery and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hi, my name is Lloyd Harris and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Jan Faria and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Yes.
Take one. Well done.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Paolini and I'm a friend of the show.
Wow, Jasmine, you got it in one time.
Ready? Play.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to what is a preview show for the Miami final, which is going to be contested between the 38-year-old Novak Djokovic, of course, 24-time Grand Slam champion, 40-time Masters 1000 champion, 6-time champion here at Miami, and not to sound like a boxing commentator giving everything in terms of what the achievements of the man is, the guy who is also going for his 100th, yes, the big 100 title today, so going for it tomorrow when we're recording this. And he is playing a guy who is, near half his age exactly, at 19 years of age, in Jakub Mensik, a guy who was seen off top 10 players like Jack Draper and not Artifice. Artifice is not a top 20, not a top 10 player just yet, but he will be soon, most likely. But he also seen off Taylor Fritz in the last round to make what is going to be a very interesting final. I've got Bremer joining me here today. What have you made of the fact of these two being our two finalists?
Yeah, I mean, this tournament has had its tosses and turns with top seeds dropping out quite early, opening up the draw. And in my case, I think the first thing I'll touch on was my excitement around the idea that Hamad Medjodovic could play Novak Djokovic in the second round, but unfortunately he lost to Hijikata, so it ruined that chance to see kind of Novak and the protege as he's been supporting his career. But all in all, a fairly straightforward draw for Novak Djokovic. He hasn't dropped a set, and he's gotten here fairly convincingly. His toughest test so far would probably be Sebi Korda, who could have taken that second set and pushed it to a decider, but Djokovic definitely locked in there when Korda was serving for the set and made him pay for it. So it's kind of been what we think in terms of the path. It's been straightforward, and we probably thought he would get here once things opened up. But Mensik, on the other hand, it's been a pleasant surprise, especially with all the hype around Fonseca and the crowd and atmosphere he's brought in. Like I used the term yesterday, he's just got a quiet confidence to him. Believes in himself, and his team really showed that yesterday. But what do we want to highlight first here? I mean, the serving expedition, it's been nothing short of amazing in terms of from round one all the way to here, and especially last night, taking down Taylor Fritz and serving at an 80% clip. It's amazing. Obviously, guys, we are in a live show, so feel free to comment. We're happy to have some extra conversations for you guys. So feel free to tune in. But yeah, James, what do you think of the match last night?
I thought it was it's one of those things where Mensik clearly came and was not phased by the arena that he was in. It would have been so easy for the man to have, say the man now, he's sort of going into his late stages of 19 years of age. It would have been so easy for him to have been underawed by the atmosphere, by the player that he was playing, especially as it looked like Taylor would start to get a little bit of form back after the injury. But he was the more solid. And the one thing I really enjoyed, or what was really telling, was the way in which he took on the ball at any moment he had. And it was one of the big factors which probably decided this match, was that there was points where Taylor Fritz wanted to lock in to long rallies, cross-court backhand exchanges, and Jakub Mensik had none of it for large parts of that match. Whenever he sniffed an opportunity to either take that backhand down the line or take a forehand cross court for a winner, he went for it. And you could tell Taylor Fritz was just, he didn't know what to do in those sorts of situations. And it's unfortunate for Fritz that if he played a bit more aggressively, that we know Taylor Fritz can do, there would have been a route for him to potentially have won that match, especially after he was able to win the second set by getting a break early in the or basically in the first game of the second set, to force it to go to a third. But no, I mean, that serve that Jakub has, I mean, it feels illegal with how good it is. It feels utterly illegal that he should have a serve that good and that consistent, because it's just like, how are you gonna how is normal tennis players gonna be able to have any say or any sort of time spent in a Jakub service game?
Right. I mean, a few things to touch on. I think, since we're talking about the serve, it's pretty crazy. Like, at just 19 years old, we talked about his frame yesterday. I think he's probably like 6'4", but he's long, and that gives him that elevation on the service motion, and he's hitting more down on the ball. But that slider, it's like a off. It's not a full slider because it's hitting it so hard, but on the deuce side, I mean, it's just untouchable. So it's just so impressive to see a kid with, we'll call it like a top 10 serve. I think he's definitely inside the top 10. And then, as I was talking about the backhand, I think it's so special. And it was on full display again last night. So you just take that combo, and obviously we think that forehand is usually the bigger weapon for a lot of our ATP tour players, but his backhand is just so impressive. So I just feel like the sky's the limit for this kid, and obviously we have so much hype around Fonseca, and he's not getting as much love, but it's definitely deserving. And after this run, I feel like people should at least understand on a quick hard court that this kid can compete with anyone.
Yeah, I mean, what makes you? I mean, it's the big question actually that a lot of people are asking is, well, hang on a minute, we're getting all this hype and all this love for João Fonseca, yet here is Jakub Mensik into the final of a Masters event. Why is it that Jakub, in your eyes, isn't getting the hype and the attention that João Fonseca is?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question, James. I think for Fonseca, it's been like he's kind of blown up since the Rio Open last year, and obviously playing in his home tournament. I think that's gained a lot of traction. And not last night, it was Monday night where he played Alex de Minaur. It was the most watched match in Brazil ever. So just talk about like the numbers, the ratings he's carrying. I think the name, the brand that he wears in terms of On Cloud and Roger Federer being his idol. He's just brought like a whole country behind him. And I think that's kind of been the difference. Mensik, his breakout tournament was Doha, where I don't know about the timing. I don't know how many eyeballs were on it. But obviously, he's going to be probably, the top Czech player right next to Mahach. So I think like more people will start getting, interested and involved. But just I still go back to like kind of the way he carries himself on court. It's not as vibrant, let's say, as Fonseca, where he's consistently kind of has that Carlos Alcaraz feels, where he's looking for highlight reel shots. He's looking to pump up the crowd, whereas Mensik is like a little bit more about his business. The serve is so deadly, the +1, like shorter points, not as many like highlight reel shots. And yeah, like I did yesterday, I kind of compare him to Zverev, where, he's sitting behind the baseline. He's happy to, rally with you for a while. And if he does get a look, he'll look to go after it. But man, oh man, I just can't stop raving about the backhand and what it can be. So yeah, I don't know if you have different thoughts on that, but that's kind of my take in terms of Fonseca kind of carrying the whole country on his back right now. For Brazil.
Yeah, I think you touched on a lot of good points. First of all, about the fact that you've got a country of over 200 million that are right behind this kid already, which is just boggling to sort of feel like, we know with the Brazilian fans that when they have an idol they can get behind, they get behind them. I mean, we see that with Ayrton Senna back in the late 80s, early 90s in the Formula One with their football teams and their football stars. They are, they're a nation that loves their sport and loves the people that compete in those sports. I think also, and then subsequently, Jakub Mensik is from a nation of only 10 million people. He's also from a nation which has traditionally produced quite a lot of really good women tennis players. So it's still a bit of a shock for people to actually pick up that they're now producing lots and lots, barring Thomas Berdych, who was great back in the noughties and late and early teens. Barring those, him, it's mainly been a lot of women tennis players that have come through. So it's still a bit of a shock for people to get that into this, that they've got this new kid. I think the playing style, is key. It isn't as flashy. He's not going for highlight reel shots. The reason why we all got so wrapped up in Alcaraz so early on in his career, and the same for João Fonseca, is that it feels like he's going to do magic on every single point, and that it's going to sit there and go whoa and wow and oohs and ahs and gasps. Whereas Jakub's almost like fitting that sort of cinemold where it's it's solid, it's consistent, it's dangerous, but it's not sexy almost when it comes to the type of tennis that he's putting in forward. I think also we can also allude by the fact that João Fonseca, we've seen this year, he started by winning the US Open. He qualified for the Australian Open, beat Rublev in that first round match on the big court, then went and won his first Grand Slam. Also, I hope I'm not going disappearing. And then he went on to go win his first title, and then after winning his first title, he's then gone and won the Challenger 175. So we're seeing those big milestones that he's ticking off every single week effectively. Whereas Mensik, it's not really been there so far this year. It felt disappointing. His run in the Next Gen Finals didn't get out the group stages when everyone was expecting him to do so. Then really hasn't done much. The Australian Open didn't do much during February, and then all of a sudden we're having this huge run right now in Miami. And questions are then going to be asked, which is after these 2 weeks, which is great. Is this just been a 2-week flash in the pan? And are we going to go back to a more normal type Mensik performances from this week onwards? Or is this the new level? Is this that Mensik saying, no, I'm making a bid for top 20, top 10 this year? Deep runs at Grand Slams. That's where I am going to be by the end of the season. Or are we just seeing one great week where he's been able to take advantage of players not knowing how to play him?
Yeah, I mean that's something that I'm wondering too. I feel like I ask people, I'm like, "Are you a Mensika?" And I've been on the fence for a while because I kind of alluded to it yesterday, but the forehand ability, it just doesn't look as clean to me. And yeah, I mean, I do want to shout out all of our members here in the chat. Thank you guys for joining us this afternoon, evening, wherever you are. Gene, Jake Davies, Matthew, Ozan. I will get to your Miami Open court question and talking about the players. But yeah, James, I think it'll be interesting to see come clay season how he develops, because now I see Mensik and on a quick hard court, man, like I said, you can just hang with anyone. And I did like the comparison. Who made it to her catch? Yeah, I think it was Gene who made that comparison. Yeah, I mean, Kubi, like I've wanted to have more praise because I thought he was getting better in rallies and having that ability to hang with top players from the baseline, but just it's still not quite there. And I thought it was developing, and he's under new coaching now, so hopefully it'll continue to develop. But it'll be interesting to go on the clay and see a little bit more time. Like when you think about Zverev, and that's who I continue to compare Mensik to, just from like the backhand side and the serving ability. That ends up being arguably his preferred surface, and has all that ability on the serve +1. But having that time on the forehand and backhand wing, I think that can help Mensik out a lot as well. So definitely something that we'll continue to monitor. But it's a new season come next week, so he'll definitely be so happy about the run and jump he made, since, just the first 3 months of the season. But like I said, it starts again and new opportunities because look, I'm just saying this off the top of my head. I don't know if he has really much or anything to defend this clay season. So, go into it with a, open mind, open opportunity to continue to grow and improve.
And you'd expect, given he's a Czech player and that Czechs do play a good chunk of their tennis on the clay, that he would at least be able to put in a good clay season at some point. And okay, but I think we've waxed lyrical enough about good old Jakub. We now need to talk about, of course, Novak, who himself has been putting in very strong serving performances. In his last 2 rounds, he's averaged above 80% first serves in. He kind of joked on an interview with Sky Sports afterwards that he now knows what it feels like to be John Isner and Ivo Karlovic as a tennis player. And how impressed have you been by Djokovic's run? Mainly because of we've seen in the last couple of years that when it comes to Djokovic at the Masters, unless it's an immediate build-up tournament before a Grand Slam, he really doesn't give a damn, and he doesn't really usually bring a level that suggests that he wants to win the tournament. Yet he's made a massive run here, got himself to the final, and it seems to be looking as though he's trying to make a bit of a statement to the rest of the tour.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll start with the draw and ability, and obviously, yeah, I mean, the last 2 months have been more so like recovery for him, and he's just like we said, I feel like at this point it's picking and choosing in his events, and obviously the opponents on the way and on the other side of the court definitely make a difference. But as you said, like he's been recovering, trying to get healthy, coming off the hamstring tear. Got beat up by Berrettini in Qatar, and then Indian Wells. This is his second year going out early in a row. That is, and this year it was to Botic, Van de Schulp. So I think it's awesome for him to be here again in a place that he loves. Obviously, having a lot of success at this tournament, good conditions, and obviously, I think it helps just being in a lively environment with all the stars coming out to play. I know that feels like maybe a little bit not relevant, but I think at this point in his career, he needs certain people and certain opportunities to get up for. And having Serena Williams and obviously Lionel Messi there yesterday, like he enjoys the environment, he enjoys the atmosphere, and the court conditions obviously suit him quite well. But obviously, you look at the opponents; it hasn't been anything super tricky. And Musetti, obviously, I think it was a hard first 4 games where Musetti got an early break. But once again, you're on a hard court. The backhand kind of just didn't hold up for Musetti enough. And then Seb Korda, we talked about it was. I think it was a tough match, but ultimately prevailed in the end, and then gets a super tired Dimitrov. That wasn't much of a match. So, he's done his part. He's done his part. It hasn't had to be too much work, but now this test will be different. It'll do a little bit different just because we're talking about the best returner, in the world, maybe of all time. So, that could look a little bit different. But obviously we've talked about the Mensik serve and how much damage that's done, for the last 10 days. So that's, I think, where we start.
It kind of feels like that acronage, which is you've got the impenetrable shield versus you've got the impenetrable shield versus the spear that can penetrate anything, and which one is going to break? Which one is going to break first in this contest? Because, as you say, Djokovic is probably known as the best returner in the world. What's quite funny is that certainly maybe the best returner of all time is that he's actually probably got the second best returner of all time in his coaching box as well, because Andy Murray wasn't too bad at doing that during his heyday. So, the one thing that was picked up in the Taylor Fritz match for Jakub Mensik was how poor Taylor's returning was and how poor he was in the decisions he made to try and actually get a few more of the balls back. Whereas Novak Djokovic is probably going to be able to read certainly another 15, maybe 20% more of Jakub's balls. And, is that going to mean that we're going to get a few more tighter service games on the Jakub Mensik serve? If we get to some tiebreakers, does it mean that Djokovic could potentially eke out 2, maybe 3 points on the opponent's serve and really put Mensik under that pressure that he actually has to really deliver on his own returning and not just rely so much on his own serve. Oh, you've muted yourself.
Apologies. I was saying, yeah, this is what, you mentioned yesterday in terms of now we're in his by far, biggest match of his life, and he's playing against his idol, which is of course, such an amazing opportunity and something to, be so proud of. But, how much nerves will there be? And like, especially in those first few games, can you get out to a smooth start, get a couple holds and get yourself into the match? Or is it going to come from, the get-go? Where you're missing a few first serves and Djokovic gets to look at a few second serves and get himself into rallies and really knife down as he does so well. So what do you think about the nerves here for Mensik?
Well, I feel like if nerves were going to play a factor, they probably would have done already. I don't think nerves are going to play too much of a factor. Maybe if he is in a situation where he may be looking to serve out the match, or potentially that he needs to actually win a couple of points on a tiebreaker to win the tournament, maybe we could see some nerves maybe start to creep in there. I probably said the word maybe too many times in that one sentence, but we'll go with it. So yeah, I would certainly say I don't think for large chunks of this match he will have that much nerves with him, or at least visible nerves, because I think if we were going to see those nerves, it would have come out in the Taylor Fritz match. It would have come out in the quarterfinal against Feast. We've not seen that to this stage, which suggests that his ability to handle nerves is so good for somebody so young. And also, he'll be fearless. I think a lot of what his box and his coaching team will tell him is, look, you're playing arguably the greatest player that has ever played the game, who's actually playing decently at the moment. You're just a 19-year-old whippersnapper kid. Go out there and just play your tennis and just see what can happen. I mean, what have you got to lose? And that may help him calm the nerves down in his side point to just go and play really well against Novak. And as I say, I think it would only ever be in a situation where he potentially does have something to lose, either serving it out or being very close, maybe 5-5 in a tiebreaker in the second or third set or something like that, would be maybe start to see some nerves coming to the forte. So what we will do though is, because we'll just start wrapping this up. Just to remind everyone of the head-to-head, as you can see from the picture just to my left, or my right, sorry. You can see that they did play once before. That was at the Shanghai Masters last year in the quarterfinal, and in that contest, Novak Djokovic won that match 6-7, 6-1, 6-4. So Novak already has a win against Jakub on a pretty fast court as well, which may play something into how this match may end up playing. Big question: who are you going for the win, and by how much?
Yeah, James, I feel like I'm thinking in a similar way as I did yesterday in terms of just the serving ability. He can get himself to a breaker, and then kind of who knows. But obviously, I was fairly, I'd say, confident that Fritz would come out in those breakers. Of course, he said he wanted to get one, but we saw some nerves for Fritz too, and I feel like he was kind of playing into Mensik patterns last night in terms of he did talk in his presser about. He was looking for that forehand battle, those forehand exchanges, but he said he just wasn't feeling the forehand as well. And he was lifting it up a little bit too much, which was allowing Mensik to, be more aggressive and flatten that out. For Djokovic, I feel like he's going to nail down the tactics early and really make Mensik play like attacking tennis, especially in tight moments. So I kind of lean the same way as I did yesterday, I guess, in terms of there's ability to go to a breaker. I think in one of the sets, I definitely think it's Novak and Straight, whether that's 6-4, 7-6, or 6-4, 7-5. That's how I do feel. But I did highlight earlier, I feel like the first kind of 6 games are going to be super crucial. And a lot of us a lot of people in the chat are talking about how attackable that Mensik second serve is, despite there's a huge kind of gap in terms of the first serve speed and the second serve speed, and Novak will be very kind of clinical in terms of his return placement, as we've talked about. So yeah, I think Novak and Straights definitely maybe a tight set.
You're going Novak and Straights. my hair. It's a weird one. I've just got this feeling that Mensik's going to do it in 3. I don't know why, but I've just got this feeling that he's going to find a way to do it in 3. I think he'll win the first set. I think Novak will win the second, and then Mensik will win the third on a tiebreaker. I think we'll go all the way to a third set tiebreaker on that one. And let's see how that prediction sort of pans out. So that's just left to sort of wrap up here. If anyone who is watching live or watching this video soon after this recording has sort of finished, we are covering the women's final tonight between Aryna Sabalenka and Jessica Pegula, a repeat of the US Open 2024 final. Will we get the same result, or will something different come to the forte? So please do tune in for that. You'll have me, you'll have Nick, you may have a little bit of Fergus, all sprinkled together to give you some sort of commentary on that one there. Thanks for joining me for this preview there, Bremer. And I will see
Hold on,
you
James.
all.
I do want to. We got to shout some people out in the chat because they were loyal to be here. Obviously, appreciate all of the kind words from everyone. I did want to answer Ozan's question because he's been here for the full half an hour about the Miami Open. Grandstand's always fun because they put the better matches, but I'd highlight Court 1 and Court 5 are definitely fun experiences. Court 5 is where Corentin Moutet and Alejandro Tobio played. It was definitely a rowdy atmosphere. You're super close to the court. So you feel like you're kind of right on top of them, which is a fun feeling. And then Court 1 is fairly similar, but I prefer those like tighter side courts because I just feel like you can be closer to the play and feel out the atmosphere. But other than that, yeah, it was a great tournament, and hopefully we can do it again next year. Jake, always appreciate you tuning in. Always a big fan, and thanks for the kind words. I don't think I'll be able to make the watch along this evening, but hopefully you do. Enjoy the match, and Newton Nutty Buddy, appreciate you being here as well. Thank you all. Appreciate you tuning in, and as James said, don't forget we have a watch along this evening, this afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Hopefully rain doesn't get in the way, but it should be a good one. So please tune in. Thanks so much.
Fingers crossed. Ozan, I do like interacting with the chat. I'm just trying to keep a bit of a break to the video for this one here as it goes out as an actual video later on. You'll get a lot more interactions with me on the live stream later on. Don't you worry. Okay, and thank you everybody, and goodbye.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.